just looked really, really good, and I'm not sure that anything is going to slow them down, especially on a default map like Oregon. That's their choice. They're going to come in here confident.
I think NIP have got to take the Ying away here. You know, whenever I think of SSG in the downstairs on this side, on this map, sorry, I always think of the Ying style execute. So maybe we'll see it coming out here. Maybe the KB band away. Now, we mentioned this. In fact, someone points out the other day in chat, I was talking in chat, and someone was like, yeah, why do you guys say Kaid wrong and the KB wrong? And I was like, what do you mean wrong? And I was like, well, Kaid actually said the way it's meant to be said is like, Kaed. And I'm like, well, one, I can't make those sounds very well in my mouth, so I'm not going to try and say that correct. Kaid will do. But the KB, I was like, well, how do you actually say Dokkaebi? And it is actually much simpler. It's just Dokkaebi. It means like Korean goblin. Yeah. So Dokkaebi is the one. I'm trying to make it stick, but Dokkaebi, I can't remember where I picked it up from, but it might just stick for that bit longer. But Dokkaebi is the one. Otherwise, Flores taken away as an interesting ban. So normally see those Flores drones sent rattling down towards 90, clearing away shields and ADSs, you name it. Fenrir, as we all know, incredibly powerful, and Azami, a very similar story. So some good bans coming on through. Flores definitely the spiciest of the bunch. Starting things out down in the basement, Tim, it's NIP on the defense, SSG on the attack. And again, if SSG win this one, well, they've got themselves into a good spot. NIP, the only spot they'll be in is on the plane home tomorrow.
I think NIP, it does them a massive favour to start on defence of Oregon here. We would expect them to come away with a 4-2 half, realistically. They should be winning Laundry, they should be winning Dorms, and then we'll see what happens in the third choice side. But that would be the expectation, to be fair, normally. So anything less than that, a 3-3 split or better, really suits SSG down to the ground here when they're then going on to the defence of their own map pick. And given that it is their map pick, that's why we've got NIP on the defence, because they think that it's the stronger side, and they get to pick where they start. So Muze is going to be reinforcing that meeting hatch. We saw earlier with Loss, they were playing with the meeting hatch open. It is an option. You've then got to commit men to that mid floor, which is something NIP obviously don't want to do. They've got Pino out and about at the minute, just reinforcing off that shower's door. And after a little bit of running around, a little bit of movement, everybody but Cons is going to be back down into the basement floor for NIP, and scratch that, Cons is going to join them as well.
I want the lineup as well coming alongside that Grim. We've seen it definitely growing in popularity as time's gone by. All the bees that he brings along, it's a whole beehive at this point, Tim. And Asher's the one charging in with that again, the amount of utility that it brings, the ability to force defenders back, to have the hard breach gadgets in back pocket as the secondaries. Here you're looking in towards him and Capital being on side, somewhat as that alternative towards the Ying with the smokes and the fire on side to make executing through hatches that little bit easier. Normally you'd see the Capital used in for the lobby hatch to make an execute inside of Laundry itself that little bit easier, or at the very least to smoke off inside of Laundry itself to then enable a push round towards the washing machines towards the right, in through the rotate, and just to really open things up for the rest of the team to make their moves in. So for SSG, I think the focus here really is on getting themselves ready for an execute. NIP, in my opinion, need to be getting up in their face a bit, but looking at their lineup on the defensive side, all of it just screams we want to play on site.
Yep, SSG are going to be opening up the Laundry hatch for the time being. They've put the track stingers at the top of Freezer Stairs, which suggests they're not really going to play around that area too much through the rest of the round. So we may be going to see a little bit of rear stage, a bit of meeting hatch, and maybe a little bit of Laundry. I'm hoping that they don't sort of put it all down to a pillars and electrical push. I always like to see a second attacking option from teams when they're going down to basement. You just need pressure in a few directions. I think they've just managed to... Have they managed to trick the hard breach charge? I think they managed with one, but the Capitao will...
Oh, he got it again!
The second,
so
no,
the first one didn't get tricked. He put it down while the electrification was still there and lost it. The second one, though, really smartly tricked away. And they've still got one more to go. Oh my God, they're losing another one. What is going on with this timing? It's an absolute mess, Tim!
It really is, and they've only got Well and Selma charged, so they can't open the hatch. This is not good for SSG. They're going to have to be going down stairways and just looking for fights. And NIP have got 5 alive still downstairs. SSG are having to scramble. Des, if they can win this round, it will show ultimate adaptability.
It will, and by the looks of it, there's a big focus on Big Tower. 3 of them gathered up here. It's going to be a bit of a push down. This could get real messy if they don't know about Muzi inside of the spot that we call Harry Potter, under the stairs. Drone comes down, has to run away himself here, and with the bees on side, at least they should be able to make this push work. But I'm worried about deep sight. They've got it smoked out, but there's a warden on side, Tim, and just as I say it, Pino lines up the shots, finds one for himself, and scares the other 2 away. This is just a slow bleed out here for SSG, all because of that E-Box hatch.
15 seconds left to go. Hot and and Cole manages to get one. Can he find himself a second? He's got on to freeze the door. Here comes a bit of a push through bunker, 3 versus 2. NIP holding on nicely. They knew that they just needed to burn down time, and Muzi manages to pick up that final kill. Big mistake from SSG there, we have to call it, but I suppose on the plus side for the North American side, you look at that, and that's not something that's going to happen again. That's not something that's normal round to round. So it was really well done by NIP. The play with the electroclaws onto the hatch. They got 2 hard breach charges, a Selma charge. They just did absolutely everything to keep that meeting hatch closed. SSG, I'm sure they'll brush that one off pretty easily. They'll know that that's not going to be a reoccurrence.
You know the meme, like, you must have seen it online where there's one guy in a big hole, like, digging up, and there's like 8 people stood around it, and it's like the IT manager, the project manager, the this, the that, everything else, and then one person actually doing the work. It felt like all of them stood around that hatch trying to get it open, because it was like, they'd be like, okay, EMP, okay, now you go and do your thing. All right, cool. Oh, I got tricked. Oh, I'll put a new one down. Okay, then yeah, cool. Oh, but it got tricked again. I shall like EMP it. Yeah, go on, why not? And everything was just so out of time and out of order that it really struggled to have anyone really coordinated the actual opening of that hatch. It's like they just walked upon real life magic and weren't quite sure how to approach it. So I think I'm with you. You shouldn't see that kind of thing happen again. But I don't think I've seen an arse up like that around mating hatch in years.
No, I put that sort of round down to similar to like winning or losing with a rush or something like that.
You write it off.
It's something that happens. You write it's done. You write it off. It's just not gonna happen again in this. In this game.
I love how the course correction now is right. Bring Habana. She can't mess it up that many times, surely.
Oh dear, I'm surprised we're into Thatcher as well. Right, we're going upstairs to dorms. It's going to be round 2. Quick progress from SSG this time. They're a little bit slower getting into the map last time around, but Forrest, he's already in there, going to take control of Big Tower. Just having a look at his gadgetry on the book. Does have the hard breach charge, so he can open that at-it wall himself. Doesn't need any support to apply pressure from that side. Ashen's going to rotate over to... No, he's not. I was going to say to Armory Corridor, but he's actually going to drop away and head back inside through rear stage.
Right. I mean, Hot and Cole's done all the work he needs to out towards the west side as well. Just opening up a bunch of holes. Again, it's that phantom pressure of a case someone's been here. Are they still around? Are they not? It will dissuade the defenders from playing at that part of the map. And if nothing else, at least, well, he can guarantee that it's clear and no one is playing there. However, there is one inside of security. I'm sure Ashen knows about it. You don't reinforce off all of these walls and then play no one inside of there. The question now turns for SSG is how do they remove that player? And the answer likely sits in all those frag grenades sat in the back pockets of both Ashen and Hot and Cold.
Forrest was just a little bit unsure when clearing off that mute jammer. You had to go around alternatively through kitchen just to check that meeting was clear, I think, and make sure he had a better angle. Wizard is going to hold on to the bottom of White Stairs through that angle. As it gets opened up above him, he's able to take advantage and get himself a nice kill. Starts things off onto Ashen. That's the Finker gone. Forrest will likely get one there. Surely no. Pino manages to find Hot and Cold, and Con somehow gets away. Wizard's still alive, and NIP are looking good in round 2.
Yeah, he's hit the deck, but is still recoverable here, and you do have the smoke of Cons not too far away. It's just that fear of being pushed here that might put them off, at least for now, getting him back up. Not holding on the bleed out, might be trying to move himself into a safer position. Cons, honestly, I cannot believe how lucky this man has been this round. He's been shot again, yet he's still standing, Tim, with a single smoke in back pocket.
Certainly seems to have 9 lives at the minute, and a couple of them have been burnt out, but you just get the feeling he's going to keep going and going and going. Fultz, he's just watching a long angle there. Can't really push in too aggressive. I mean, he could. He's just going to tank the damage there on the laser gate. Knows that there's one hard right. Does he find his man? Doesn't quite look far enough. Shots will go in, and finally Cons gets taken down. Forrest, meanwhile, manages to put Pino in the dirt elsewhere, leveling us up. No, it's actually advantage SSG. 3 versus 2 now, 3 versus 1, as they've managed to get a lot of control here. Des Psycho is pinned back on 1 HP, gets the long angle. Surely not. Jane, I know. How can you miss that? He's just got a kill onto Trophy Door. Surely you know where he is.
Ashen's voice is gone tomorrow, man.
100%.
No matter what happens in this game, his voice is gone tomorrow. Either be a very peaceful flight home with his fellow passengers, or you might find him a touch quieter in tomorrow's game, assuming they make it through the series.
It's going to happen, heard? Yep.
One thing that did get pointed out to me, actually, we spoke about this a little bit before the game. This is obviously, between the orgs at least, a rematch of what we saw back at SI 2020, our first SI that we worked together. One hell of a comeback in that game, actually. I believe it was on Clubhouse. There was a very clear moment around round 6, round 7, where the momentum just swung away from NIP over to SSG, and as we all know, the rest is history. Canadian and the boys went on to win the whole thing. Admittedly, the squad looks very different today from back then. I think Fultz being the only remaining member from that winning side. And NIP themselves have made a couple of changes along the way, but some storied history between the two orgs at the very least.
Certainly is, as you say, our first as well. Some history between us since then, Des. I can't believe that we turn it around and have played fantastically well since. As I said, here on Oregon, on the attack, if they can get a 3-3 half, I think SSG are going to be reasonably satisfied with that going on to the defence. This is their map pick, and I think they will be expecting a 4-2 half on the defence. So NIP losing up in dorms and heading to a third choice site may well play into SSG's hands.
May well do, and I think with it being the 1-1 at the end of the day, there's no real momentum being built for either side just yet, so you feel like this actually comes out as a pretty fair split, I think, after the rehost coming back in, and a pretty even scoreline. Alrighty, let's see how things go now. We're stepping in towards meeting, and I always say this, Tim, but we've got a Castle on side. I love seeing Castle. Always means that you get some interesting things being done by the defenders, certain lanes being opened up, areas of the map being locked down. The downside being there is both a Hibana, there is a Sledge, there are plenty of things on this team going as far as the Selmas or the breaching charges, just everything that can deal with those castle barricades and may not be left standing for too long. But like we also remarked back on Border, sometimes it's in the attacker's interest to leave them up, as it gives them control on the other side of those castle barricades, knowing that no one can just come charging through. I mean, in some cases, yes, they can, but very fair chance you'll hear them long before you see them, and even longer before they shoot you.
Quick progress on the hard breach there from SSG. They've got in very quickly and opened up one of the walls into meeting, so that's at least good progress inside of 30 seconds. I think that happened hot and cold. He's looking to drone out that top floor, make sure nobody's up in T3. Quickly establishes that and can move his way on down. Cons is on the rear stage stairs though, so that drone of hot and cold needs to make sure that it's going up and picking Cons, because otherwise, if they don't and they try to push in, they could well come foul of that shotgun.
Good. Psycho. Ashen, I feel for him a little bit. He's been found first in a couple of these rounds. I think it was the previous one prior to us coming into the rehost where he opened up the floor underneath bunks, and then Wizard spun around and shot him through the floor, and it was like, yep, good night, see you later. And there's a lot of like, I don't want to say pressure, but a lot of hype piled on top of Ashen, who's seen as the new upstart in NA, the kind of new wonder kid potentially coming in, and he's certainly got the energy to back it up, but maybe not quite the consistently strong performances yet to back up that line of being one of the up-and-coming legends in NA.
Folks just holding that long angle, not going to find anybody for the time being. J9 taking down the castle barricade, and SSG just continuing to work away at this utility. But NIP is still pretty much stock still at the minute. They're happy with their positions, obviously, and they're just waiting for SSG to play on into them. 1 minute 10 left to go, and I just feel like NIP, they need to be careful that there's not maybe a bit of overconfidence in their positions.
I mean, for NIP, it's like, well, until we're forced to move, we're not going to move. Like, we've got our ideal positions, we're happy where we're holding. Until SSG make us move, what reason is for us to step away? We've got really good crossfire set up here. We're holding key spots that control large parts of the map, or at least upstairs we have. So why worry about it too much? And Psycho there clearly not figured out that he was playing on this hatch, and against him, these have been pretty static positions. NIP haven't had to move very much, yet they are absolutely slamming the American side. Cons at 2K playing around Big Tower. Hot and Cold's got it all to do. And sadly, they are going to see your legs first. A very comfortable round for NIP with 4 still standing at the end.
I warned about Cons a minute into the round. Hot and Cold was droning down there. They must not have picked him up properly. If they did pick him up, they didn't do anything about him.
He was just waiting, right?
Yep, they didn't do anything about him. And just like I said, with the shotgun, he's got himself in a perfect area. Rear stage stairs. If you're playing with a shotgun operator, your main focus is to get yourself into those sort of close quarters situations. You want to narrow the distance to your enemy as much as possible and avoid those long angles. And rear stage is a great place to do it. It's all tight little turns, moving around. He uses one with the SMG, second with the shotgun. Just really well played. Moves himself in and out of meeting, has his rotation. Cons just completely dominated that area of the map, held off any push from SSG, and you know, went a long way towards winning the round for NIP. There was great play elsewhere. I don't want to overlook Psycho on the hatch as well. Kept himself firmly pressed.
There it is.
Didn't panic when the nade came in. Dropped down the hatch, got the kill. Just really good stuff from NIP.
Well, for a second, I thought we were going to see the Ying come out there, but nope. Instead, pop in the back pocket. Forest stepping away from that one for this downstairs execute. We see it used so often through E-Box. Now, last time we got very stuck on the hatch tip. We've got the Thatcher on side again. We've got 4 hard breach gadgets in back pocket. It's the same lineup again, as they know that the mess up wasn't really down to what they brought to the round. It was just down to the execution of how they get that hatch opened up.
Yeah, the Thatcher should be sufficient, to be honest. That should really just get the job done. Should.
I will stress that word.
The Thatcher should be sufficient. We'll see what happens as time ticks by here, but I would be surprised if the Cade is allowed to get away with that again. Wizard is going to have his work cut out for him. So all of NIP are downstairs. We've got one on the freezer stairs again. It's Cons with the shotgun just playing aggressive there. And we've got Hot and Cold and Ashen are working from this side of the building, so they're going to look to get themselves into security. I don't know if they're going to pressure freezer stairs themselves at the time being. Just open that freezer hatch. It will likely force Cons back because he doesn't want to get stuck at the bottom of freezer stairs and isn't then able to move under the hatch once it's been open. So that should likely clear that out. They've got the track stingers at the top, so they don't really need to worry about freezer anymore, and then they can focus elsewhere, which is likely going to be that laundry hatch and meeting hatch.
Right.
Here we go.
Here we go, team. It's easy enough. You roll down one against the table, that's it.
There we go. Surely.
It just caught that one as it came out there as well, but I think it still would have gone off regardless there. But this time round, they show the respect, they time 2 of those Thatchers together, and they get the hatch opened up. Now we get to see what that execute earlier should have looked like, Tim.
I have faith in SSG. I said that it wouldn't happen again. I said that there was the sort of team that would, you know, not be making that problem, not be making that mistake twice, and I was right. They're going to try to open up the wall onto Shaco's spot, but it's actually going to be taken out. The Grim wasn't the factor there. They thought that they needed to stop it coming from the storage side, but it was indeed Wizard that was playing through the rotation hole to take those Selma charges off. So that's going to enable Muzi to stay in the Shaco spot, and it could be dangerous. Wizard manages to get one inside a bunker. It's J9O that gets taken down, and Muzi is still in charge at the bottom of the stairs. Leaves it as long as possible before taking out the Vulcan canister, and this looks good from NIP once again.
And does catch a little bit of damage onto Fultz as well, who was sat halfway up tower stairs. For now, that will burn out. Still got a barbed wire to chew his way through when he starts the march on forward. A couple of bees spread out in towards bunker itself, just to make sure there's no one hiding away, and you can see them now attacking the defender there as well. Cons just being swarmed by them. However, 2 kills come through. NIP once again looking pretty comfortable. Fultz finding at least one. Forest tries to back away from this one, and sure enough, run for the hills, my good friend. As there are 4 players in NIP still left, and they may well just use this, Tim, as a bit of an unofficial timeout, as once again they've stalled out on this basement attack.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Sometimes with time left on the clock, you'll wait and see if you can maybe pick up a kill or 2 and make your life a little bit easier, but I don't think that's what this is here. Forrest recognising that he missed a little bit of an opportunity there. Cut down by Wizard. That's going to be NIP taking another round, and the dangerous thing that I just saw in that round from NIP is them winning those gunfights again is creeping back in. It's sort of reminiscent of the first 3 rounds of Border where they were winning every gunfight. And the one that particularly got me, I don't know who it was from the side of SSG, but there was one of them moving down Laundry Stairs, and they pushed in and they were aimed, they were trained ready on Closet, and Psycho just came across with the Vector and just absolutely decimated them at the bottom of Laundry Stairs. And that sort of play is going to make life very, very difficult for SSG, because there's nothing that you can do about it. Yeah, absolutely. That was the one that I was talking about. It was Hot and Cold actually moving across the bottom, and yeah, they just, as we see from those replays, NIP are just winning a lot of the gunfights there.
They are, and I thought we may see attack timeout after that round. If not now, then it's definitely going to be after this round. I think you can't be going into that second half 5-1 down. You've only got 1 attacking round on your own map pick. That's a real scream, and you're really betting on NIP not being able to really achieve anything on their attacking side. Otherwise, it is going to take Clubhouse to see who walks away the winner of this game, and that one is anyone's guess as to who walks away on top. So I'd like to see, if they don't win this round, get the attack timeout in, get for that sorely needed second attacking win for SSG, and then at least going into that second half, you've got a bit more breathing room.
As I said, coming in, you can't expect NIP or any Brazilian team to be slouchers on Oregon. You know that they're at least going to be moderately capable, and I think NIP are showing a much better level of understanding than that at the moment.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Ashen managing to take down Wizard, though. Early battle there, and on the finger, he's able to just juice himself back up as well. Will take more damage at the end of it, but still lives to fight on.
Got I thought Cons was going to go for the ladder then. That's a massive risk if Ashen was still hanging around the window. Or not, he could have just got him shot from further back, and there's a drone underneath his feet that knows exactly what he's doing, so probably wants to try and get out of there before too long. Otherwise, well, SSG are going to have his skin.
Cons is indeed going to get himself down the wow, I was going to say that, but he's not for giving it up just yet. He knows that there's still somebody on the window, and it is Ash, and he's kind of waiting for these finger boosts to come back online so he can heal himself back up. He's got above 50 now, and Cons finally is going to disappear down into the basement, but we saw this earlier. He wasn't really tracked down and dealt with by SSG, and he came back to give them a double later in the round. Now then, he knows that Forest is there. Who wins the fight? It's Cons, and he keeps himself off on the roam, and SSG, they're going to have to deal with him.
They are indeed. At least gets rid of the alibi from behind the shield, which is something, I guess. At least the shot drone doesn't walk away empty-handed, but it is taken out. And that fight down in basement, I think Cons has played that so well around Big Tower. You know, 2 or 3 times he was stepping back in towards Ashen just to keep him asking questions and having to burn through his own utility. But look at this, they've tried to make the push in, and they've been absolutely wiped out by NIP. It's going to be a 4-on-1, Tim. Again, I think SSG need this timeout so sorely here to rebalance this.
Yeah, I'd agree. Just things absolutely running away from them at the minute. NIP going from strength to strength, and as you saw at the end there, Muzi just chaining kills together for fun almost. Cons, they were unable to lock him down and deal with him, and just one after another problems for SSG here. Really needs some work to get this one leveled out.
They do. I think we've got a quick disconnect coming in for a player there. So tech timeout is in, and we're back into things in just a minute.
Well, SSG is not really going to help them too much in terms of they can't have that discussion that they would for a tactical timeout. They will have to stay silent whilst we get this sorted. But it might just break that momentum a little bit, if nothing else, and just help them to at least maybe come back into it with a new mindset, a new frame of mind here. But SSG, to be fair, Des, if they can get, I know it's their map pick, but they're on the attack of Oregon. We do expect usually Dawns and Laundry to go to the defenders, so that leaves you with a 4-2 half. So if they can get this last attacking round and go 4-2, they can at least be confident that maybe they can get themselves to overtime. It's their map, you know, maybe on the defense they think they can actually get it done and get themselves a 5-1 half, who knows? But for me, this round is crucial for them. They need to get this one done at least. 5-1, I feel like the best you can hope for then realistically is overtime.
I think as you can see since the rehost as well, just looking at the kills on the side of SSG, I'll talk about kills a lot, but 3 kills inside 3 rounds, really not the one. So this is the round where SSG are the team from NA, really. If you want to see them pulling out crazy plays, pocket plays, or a little bit of cheese along the way, they are the team to watch. They'll run things like the Blitz, the Ying, even the Amaru, as you're seeing here coming out of J90. Also got the line on side alongside the Nook for Forest. So good opportunity here to do a little bit of magic, I think, and to potentially catch NIP off guard, get that 6th round that you need. It's quite clear at this point that playing air quotes normal siege is not giving you the rounds that you were hoping for. So I'm all for trying something a little bit crazy to try and get it over the line.
A bit of rotation around the outside there. Hot and Cold going to open up the green corridor window. Whether he goes in through there or not will be anybody's guess, but he may well look to head on in. Fultz is going to be in garage but rotating up to master balcony, so that would suggest that SSG are going to be looking to play on to game wall. Forest manages to pick up with a good start for SSG. Exactly what they needed. Like I say, really, they need to be picking up this round. I think he just knows that there's going to be more pressure coming in from meeting. There's actually 2. It's Psycho and Cons that were playing in there. Oh no, Muzi and Cons, sorry, that were playing in there for NIP. Asher manages to pick up Pino 5 versus 3, and the 2 that were elsewhere for NIP need to be careful because Psycho, he's in sight on his own and could be overwhelmed here.
Very easy. They realise this on drones. They can just rush into him at this point. You're hoping that Fultz is going to find that out, but Hot and Cold is still trying to play ring around the roses with the last player holding on the upstairs. Forest still where he started, inside the classroom, has no idea. Apparently they have no idea they were next to each other, but Forest is the one to get the kill. Psycho's all alone, and turns out a slightly wacky comp, Tim, is the waves to a victory sometimes. They get that 4-2 half, and for me, Maybe not quite that excited, Ashen, but at least it's promising for SSG going on to the defense.
Yeah, I don't think that's now terrible. I think you've got your 2 attacking rounds, which is the minimum that you want on Oregon, to be fair. As I say, I think SSG would have been, obviously much happier with the 3-3 or better, but I think 2-4 is not the end of the world. I think they will be confident to lock down on their own site, Laundry and Dorms, so that's 4 rounds for them if they do that twice each, and then it just leaves them in the balance on that third choice site. Can they get a meeting or a dine-in lockdown?
Can they? That's the big question. For a starters, though, things inside of the basement. Tim, it's where all teams love to start. And admittedly, what I thought we might see coming out of SSG in that first half may well be the specialty of NIP. That's assuming that Psycho sticks on the blitz, that we don't see the Ying attacker repit back in, which may well be the case. The Pino moving over towards playing that. Much more the sort of style of comp I'd expect to see again coming out of SSG. But NIP are the ones here looking to play it.
Let's see how much of a presence there is out in the map for SSG. That could be one difference to what NIP did. NIP played this site completely turtle. It worked very well for them. They didn't have any sort of roam presence, top floor or anything else. J9O's just disappeared off the rear stage stairs, so I don't know how committed he's going to be to hold out in Big Tower. I think he's just on his way back down now, so maybe not too much. He's going to be sticking around rear stage for the time being. Maybe just try and prevent an early push into that area and just keep hold of pillars. Yeah, pretty much turtle up from SSG. Not too much of a presence anywhere else on the map.
Absolutely not. Slow and steady wins the race, and SSG, for now at least, trying to keep NIP slower than usual. Yeah, NIP we've always regarded as one of those teams from LATAM that seem to be slower than all the rest. And there are a couple of others now that you look at and say, actually their play style has slowed down quite a bit. They're more like NIP than arguably the more hyper-aggressive, rapid-paced attacking LATAM teams of old. But NIP, I think, still holding to that title of being quite slow. And for SSG, the lower that clock runs, the higher chances are of them winning this round. We've seen teams lead things quite consistently to the last 10 to 15 seconds and pay the price when the smallest of mistakes get made in the execute. But here, the execute for me, Tim, is going to be a pretty aggressive push in, making use of this blitz. There is no reason to bring a blitz unless you are looking to play aggressive. Otherwise, you may as well bring the Ossa or a Monty, for example. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, the Monty was taken out of play against Psycho, but he just says, that's fine, I'll bring blitz instead. No problem at all. I would expect to see the blitz maybe being used to push into elbow. That's the position that Psycho finds himself in at the minute. He's just going to hold off bunker for the time being while Cons and the others work across this top floor and just try to get everything opened up and get into a position where those defenders have been moved around. And then Psycho pushes in, tries to take elbow, and they push into rear stage, they push into pillar, and they move forward from there.
An easy one this because there's no Kaid on side. Hatch is opened, and now this is where you start to see NIP's attack coming in together. What it is they're looking to try and do. Psycho is positioned out towards blue. He's ready to come for the push in when the time starts. He's joined by the Finker out there. You've got Pino playing inside a meeting, Wizard looking for a potential backstab down Big Tower, and Cons also looking for a meeting drop. So a very heavy north to east side push coming into this site.
Yeah, and here we go. Psycho is going to push in and look to take elbow. Can he get his man? Forrest manages to escape, but he does find one onto Fultz. Pino as well onto hot and cold. It's all going in favour of NIP. SSG can't stand up to this sort of pressure, Des. It's 3 versus 1. Psycho's just bullying the last man. Takes down Ashen, and that was just perfectly timed attacking from NIP. What a round. They just were absolutely clinical going in through bunker onto elbow. Timed to perfection after they'd done the work on that meeting, Hatch.
I think the amount of agency that Pino had when he came dropping into pillar after he got through E-box was the one. He opened up so much. He was threatening in towards highway. He was looking in towards sight. He found the initial kill on pillar itself after the Candelas had come on through and he dropped on down. And so whilst all this distraction was happening around highway, you had one player from SSG tucked in highway in the northeast corner. You thought for a second he might try and swing in towards sight to try and deal with Psycho, who was charging in towards the rotate to find a Rooney. But instead he's so preoccupied by Pino, who for me really was the cornerstone of that attack. But as you say, really well timed, really well coordinated, and NIP make that attack look easy.
Well, it's not looking good for SSG now. I tried to paint a picture of positivity, which I always try to do coming into this, the fort.
Just look at this player who's sat inside of highway here, just completely blind out to it. Pino's found one, swings around for the second guy here as well. Just again, really good linchpin moment. If not finding the warden inside of highway initially from Psycho, That's the kind of stuff that you want. So really, Pino and Psycho, again, the two real driving forces in that round.
Yeah, it was a really nice attack from NIP. And SSG, as I said, coming into that, you know, the positive angle was that it was, you know, 4-2 and they could go onto the defence and at least do the same in return. But NIP taking away one of their primary sites is a massive blow to that hope, because now, if you're SSG, you need to be finding at least 3 or 4 defences consecutively, realistically. You don't want NIP getting themselves onto map points, so they've just lost a lot of the wiggle room that they had.
No.
But how about that? Muzi going in without proper information, and Ashen, he's going to cut him down for free, and he's going to escape with his life. Not a problem.
I don't know why is he there is in Portuguese admittedly, so I'm not even going to try, but I imagine that's exactly what Muzi was screaming. Why is he so deep? Why is he so far away from his team? Why is he that deep inside of dining when they're defending on the top floor inside of Kids Dorms? Like, you'd expect him to be around Trophy or around Attic. At the very most, maybe he lurks around Showers and is trying to dig in for a bit of a rat play, but not that aggressive inside of dining, and it's an aggressive play, well rewarded by Ashen. Such a good position to find and an easy pick off to get, and the most important thing here is he's then dropped away. He hasn't tried to hold that ground. He's got a kill, he's happy with it, and the boys are now happy to play from a man advantage.
Yeah, Pino's droning himself at the moment. Cons is at the bottom of White Stairs along with Psycho, so there's going to be a lot of attention. I'm surprised nobody's up on double window yet, just to help you know, add the pressure to that side of the site so that the Ashen and others can't push onto the top of White Stairs. They are going to force the man down out of security. It's Ashen actually that drops the hatch into Freezer. He's going to have to move himself back all the way around underneath.
They know how frustrating it is to go chasing a rat through the sewers. Ashen now rising elsewhere around the map, looking in towards lobby, looking up towards Armory, potentially with the ability to now join and challenge around Trophy itself. Has got to be careful, you know, Wizard had those floor holes that he could make use of around the bed to be able to challenge him as he moves back up, but I don't think they had any idea that it was pushing that way up to him. Oh, no. Okay.
Pino, I think, thought he had a bit of information there.
We've seen about 3 of these in our game so far. These self-nades.
A shield up above inside, so I don't know what the aim of that nade was, to be honest, because there was no player there. So it certainly wasn't based on information, but Pino cooks it for too long anyway. Was once told a very wise line of, how long do you cook a nade for? Well, you hold it until you're scared of it, and Pino should have been a little bit more scared.
And he's like, well, the problem is I'm fearless, Tim.
Absolutely fearless, but it doesn't pay off for him that time.
It would have opened up the flooring and given the angle in towards the pit doorway as well, so you could stop anyone on the defensive side either using the rotate easily, they have to be very careful, or from pushing in towards concrete itself. So it was a good idea. He's just paid for it with his life, and SSG looked pretty guaranteed to win round 8 here, bringing it to 5-3. And then once again, we step into that very critical round, Tim, that round 9 point, where one team is 5-3 up. Next round will take them up to 6-3 and make that comeback almost too impossible for SSG, or they win to bring it to 5-4, and suddenly things are back on and it is ridiculously close.
Yeah, they need to. They'll no doubt go back down to Laundry, I think. I could be wrong.
Huh? Say again, Ashen?
Maybe they choose their third choice site. I don't know. We'll see what SSG do coming into round 9. But if they take Laundry and they get it locked down.
Scrims this afternoon.
Yep.
So still taking it very serious, still locked in, still trying to stay warm. But obviously we'll see if that turns out to be the case come Friday, and we'll find out what their matchup is, as we will all the others, after all the games have concluded tomorrow, where we have 3 best of 3s to enjoy to determine the final 3 teams joining us for the live finals on Friday. Here we go then, Tim, where things are back underway here in round 9. Again, big round for me. Either it becomes 6-3 or it becomes 5-4. 2 very different scorelines, and you might look at that and go, well, Des, any of the round is the same. A team either gets 1 round closer or they get 1 round further away. Yes, but I think the psychology of being sat at 6-3 down gets quite scary, and maybe you'd argue maybe not because of how Sonics versus BDS went earlier. It was almost a mammoth comeback by Sonics, but BDS had just built up far too much of a lead and managed to close things out 7-5. So I'd love to see SSG win this round, keep it close, keep it competitive, otherwise I think NIP can just run on towards a win.
Now then, they've got faults out in the map a little bit. Forrest has got an awful angle there on the main door. I don't think he's going to get any joy. NIP aren't really heading in that direction. James needs to be careful. K9O's led prone at the minute, and as the push comes in very, very quickly, he could well find himself caught out, but he does manage to wriggle himself away. But I like this from SSG. They get, you see, he just misses his shots. Forrest had the opportunity there, and then gets cut down by Pino. as he tries to run away. I was just saying how I liked it from SSG. They were getting out in the map a little bit, just trying to cause NIP a problem, but no, it's all gone wrong. They've lost Forest, and NIP have the opener. They're 5 versus 4.
I love the initial use of the ram by Pino as well, just tossing one in through the door, because I didn't actually realise the recovery time when you've picked a gadget up is that quick. Like, tossed it through the door, his gun was basically straight up and he swung hard in towards the left. Fultz sees the Capitao as well, so got to be careful he doesn't get shot. I won't say shot in the back because everything's been reinforced up behind him, but they know where this push is coming from.
Just going to be keeping an eye on the Capitao, who's likely going to go and get that meeting hatch. Doesn't look like there's going to be any denial on there. We don't have the Kaid this time, so that's going to be nice and free for them. Ashen does move up though and is using, is just getting, well, he's not using it himself, but he's getting that information from Fultz. They're watching for the Capitao coming back, and if they do, Ashen's going to punish them.
Just switches away from the camera as well to turn it off temporarily, so it isn't dead obvious in the face of the attackers that, hey, there's a camera here, look at me, as it flashes away. Sure enough, I believe that camera stayed alive. It's a good placement by Fultz in this round because none of them have been dealt with yet by NIP.
They don't know about Ashen. He's moved himself up to the second level, and they're completely unaware of it. The drone didn't go up and check. He's going to come down here, and as soon as Cons tries to go anywhere near rear stage, or anybody else for that matter, Ashen's going to have a field day with them, so keep an eye on him. Psycho does go and recover the diffuser. Looks like it's going to be a laundry push, which might actually save them from Ashen. No, he manages to find Cons. That's a good one, 4 versus 4, but the rest of the push continues from Laundry, and kills come raining in. But SSG, they're standing up well to it, Des. It's 2 versus 3. They just need to keep fighting. Pino manages to get hot and cold, 2 versus 2. And NIP are turning it around. Pino almost single-handedly.
Ashen's got to do a lot here as well. Again, so much hype around this guy. Now it's time to show that you can live up to it. Not to be the case. NIP up to 6 and 3. Map points. They're definitely giving Ashen some back.
Yes. Musi and Pino, one of the oldest, I don't necessarily know in terms of age, but in terms of experience, one of our oldest, duos really inside of competitive Siege. Musi and Pino have been working it together for a long time now, and they continue to do the business down on bottom floor there. And SSG's inability to hold the primary site on their map choice is potentially going to really hurt them in this matchup. That's 2 rounds down in Laundry that they have lost, and that is a tough one. NIP, I think, got a little bit lucky after Ashen managed to hide himself away on that second floor. If they had pushed the rear stage, they lost the Hibana to him, but that was all, so it didn't really matter. Cons got taken down, but NIP had already made the decision to push down Laundry, so by the time that came in, all Ashen could really do was just go back downstairs and join the fight. He wasn't in a position to flank them realistically, so it was just unfortunate and a little bit lucky for NIP.
And Pino with a great push through, finding 3 for himself in the round as well. A lot, 2 of them, I think, from inside of Cubby. Just deals with this rotate back extremely well, even if the firefight did come in from J90 first. Just Pino having a bit of a god round overall. Now, SSG are going to try again down in the basement here. After that timeout, they realised, look, okay, Pino's had a bit of a life round. It's going to happen. Now what can we do to restore order, get the win on the downstairs? The battle then, Tim, is they've got to then win 2 other sites to force it not to a win, but to overtime. Like, this is a big ask from SSG, and this is why I always say that round 9 is so important. At 6 and 3, it feels like a bit too much to ask for SSG, who have been struggling so far.
It's a tough site choice for them, really. If you sat at home thinking, why are they going to Laundry again? They've lost it twice already. SSG can be forgiven. They don't have dorms available because they won it in round 8, so they've still got to have a second round away from there. Laundry, it's a rock and a hard place. You either go to Laundry or you go to your third choice side. Personally, I feel like when you've lost Laundry twice, I kind of feel like maybe you just give your third choice a go. It can't be any worse, can it? But ultimately, I don't think there's really any right or wrong choice here. And obviously, SSG feeling like they can course correct and they can get the job done. They're going to be getting a couple of those EDDs placed downstairs, maybe just hope for NIP. You know, they're sort of already planning for NIP getting onto site, though. That's the only thing I don't like about that. It's sort of like already accepting that, NIP are probably going to get control and walk into highway, so hopefully they get taken out by the cap cans. I
mean, map 1, they banned away the Monty. They haven't had to deal with it all map long, and now Psycho opts to bring it out in what could be the final round. Joined in, of course, by the Capitao, as I mentioned a few times. Also got the Ying on side, so very strong execute capability here, you know, a fair few smokes to sit and play behind, lots of Candelas to go off as well. It could be really oppressive as long as NIP have all 5 alive, come round to the execute time. But again, given the comp coming out of SSG, it looks pretty dug in. A lot of very slow operators on that team.
Yep, J9O's likely going to be bullied down rear stage stairs. I think he hears the Monty come in, so he backs off. He knows that he's not going to be able to stay in position there, and that's good work from NIP. Obviously, Monty, one of his primary goals, one of his primary missions is to get in there and move people around, make them uncomfortable. His second is to provide information. So he's telling his team that rear stage is now clear, and when the time comes, he will likely push down, and Psycho will clear out Pillar and Meeting as well.
Bombs coming in, one of those smokes being dropped in. You'd hope at this time you'd see the rest of the utility fly in, but it's more of a bait than anything else to see if there's a reaction from the defenders. And the answer is no, there is no reaction. Monty working in down Freezer, the rest gathered up around Hatch. You can see that he's very much going to be an attention soak here. Almost dies out to utility side of things. Just stand in the doorway here, draw a little bit of attention and see what comes next. Here comes the execute. Smoke is coming in. We've got the fire coming down. Everything stepping on forward, but Pino hits the deck, Tim.
4 versus 3 now as hot and cold. He's on low health, going to be taken out. Muzi manages to find him. 3 versus 2. And NIP is starting to swarm. Fultz picks up Wizard. 2 versus 2. They're trying to hold on. SSG need to find kills. And it's the Capcan traps. I picked up on them. I said, you know, maybe it's a little bit negative. You're almost expecting them to get into sight. You're accepting that they're going to get into sight. But NIP, they fall foul of it, and SSG won't care, negative or otherwise. It gets them the round, and it keeps them fighting.
Yeah, really thought NIP had that one in the bag, but the late round Capcans, Tim. Silent but deadly for the vast majority of the round, and when they strike pretty true. I imagine we'll see a similar sort of thing coming out here as well. I mean, that last round I was looking at and I thought, okay, the Ash coming along here, why that over something like the Finker? Because I think the Finker in these all-in executes is so powerful. The top of HP that it brings, for example, just to all push in. We saw it with the Blitz earlier on in the round as well. But the Ash more leaning in towards, I think, trying to get rid of things like the shields and also to help burn through some things. Has the ability to open up verticals with those breaching charges. So a small stylistic difference there, but did think we'd see the nades coming in potentially from Muzi.
Top floor it is then. SSG were able to win this last time they played it back in round 8 it was that they played it. Ashen opened things up for us with the kill onto Muzi, and then they were just in the driving seat from there on in really. Pino naded himself as well, which was obviously a little bit of a support to SSG, but I don't think that they can rely on the same sort of mistakes this time. A lot of pressure came from small tower side from NIP last time around. I think it's probably going to be the same, although Psycho has spawned out on street, so whether he's maybe going to take the push up into Armory to begin with, pressure onto Trophy, we'll see where he chooses to go.
I imagine if we get towards overtime, we'll see SSG starting on the defense as well. This was their map pick, not forgetting, so NOP opted to start in defense, and then in OT, SSG get to pick the side. It'd be silly not to pick defense at that point. So really for NIP, there are 2 chances here to get this game closed out. Otherwise, coming in towards overtime, I can see SSG taking it away, to be honest with you, Tim. Really want to see them close things out here and take us through to that 3rd map.
Yeah, you'd love to see it, wouldn't you? It'd be an absolute treat between these two at the minute. Wizard is on the hard breach, looking to get onto Master Balcony. Needs to be careful, though, because there's a Valkyrie camera watching. And as soon as he goes onto that rappel, they're going to know, and it could be that SSG make the challenge at that point. I think the real difficulty for SSG in getting this to overtime now is that they're going to have to go to a 3rd choice site. Let's arguably say that they win here in Dorms. They're going to then have to close out Meeting or Dining, whichever is their choice. Cons, he's looking to get established at the bottom of White Stairs and just shaping up for a little bit of a sort of multi-sided hit. Psycho's just hanging around outside of front door at the minute. The rest of the team are shaping up on the white side of things, so it looks like they're going to try and pressure from multiple sides at least.
They're just really nervous about Forest. They know that he's not playing up on site and they've seen him off on their own, but just aren't sure where, and it's why you had 2 players from NIP posted on lobby door for so long, was hoping that eventually he would rotate back towards site and try and work his way up Armory. Simply wasn't to be the case, though. He's being patient as a saint down inside a basement at the moment. Maybe leaving the striking point until a bit too late in the round if you see NIP pull off an execute here, but now he's started his move up Freezer. NIP look aware, though.
Forest could be in a key position here, going to hold himself on those freezer stairs for the time being. Psycho searching for the nade underneath, not going to have any joy with either of those, so now will head his way up Armory stairs, taking out the prox alarm as he goes, but that's just going to give away the fact that he's coming. Wizard unable to hit that shot. 45 seconds left to go, and NIP could be running low on time here, and Forest, he could have a big impact. He's going to have a look, and he manages to find one, sticks around to have a look for a second, but he won't get any joy, but damage could be done there. Psycho taken down.
Again, whether it's Castle, Solus, or Valkov, really enjoyed seeing Forest playing these roaming roles, especially when he's playing down in basements, for example, across these last couple of maps. He's played the role so well. Sure, he's not consistently putting up 2Ks and 3Ks and solo-handedly winning rounds, but he's getting the odd pick here and there that really just chips away at the setup that NIP have got. And now they're down to 3, facing off against 5. They're flashing themselves on the push on through. It's a flawless round coming out for SSG. Bring us up to 6 and 5, Tim. This one could be going to overtime.
Pretty straightforward finish to the round there. By the ends of it, SSG knew exactly what was happening. They had players underneath, they had players in sight, and NIP had no choice but to walk straight and willingly into their net to be closed out for the flawless round. So a great finish there from SSG to take us to 12. It looked at points, Des, like we wouldn't reach this stage of the game. It looked like NIP would already have us on a map 3 by now, but SSG, they are not keen to go to Clubhouse. They just want this locked out here and now. It's their map choice, and if they get one more round, it's going to have to be in meeting, but it will take them to overtime.
So cheeky for Forest. Again, really admire the way he's been playing this roam game. It's been extremely patient. You see a lot of roamers playing a very active game, you know, getting very mobile around the map and always looking for openings. Even J9's starting to feel it. I love it. Everyone's getting into it, and that's what we want to see. But again, yeah, I think the way that he's been playing the own game has been fantastic so far. Would love to see that continue. Patience has been the name of the game for him. Not really been able to get involved too early on because NIP, as you've seen time and time again, have normally got 2 guns chasing him down, drones running everywhere. Eventually they have to give up on things, but his impact really has been felt out on that roam game. Here we go though, last round of regulation. It's going to be an exciting one, Tim, because if they win this one, we get overtime. If NIP win, then that map 3 is guaranteed. And Hot and Cold, trying his very best, almost finds Cons, who takes a little bit of chip damage, but nothing to be too worried about.
Would have been a perfect start, wouldn't it, taking the Thermite down? It's always what you're looking for. You can't pick them when you go for the spawn peaks. They would have had the backup of Pino, of course. He is on the ace, but still it would have been a big loss. That is a big grab for Wizard because it's going to allow them to take that wall. Unless a Bandit battery is replaced, which I don't think it's going to be, it will allow them to take that wall from Garage side, which makes it pretty difficult because that's a key area that defenders will often use to defend towards rear stage, and you get that wall open and it can be dangerous.
This is some really good blitz rushes into here.
Oh, beautiful from Fultz.
Well, that's going to be a little bit of a kicker, isn't it?
I love that. Well played.
I mean, this is the danger. Thank God it was the Selmas on there and not an exothermic, otherwise that's a very dead thermite. But similar to what we saw Forest doing, he's now drawing attention down into the basement. So NIP have got that choice to make. Okay, we've got a lot of time to play. Are we willing to invest a minute or so trying to pinch this guy downstairs, or just deal with him when he resurfaces? And it's going to be a real frustration for them.
NIP still just shaping up to decide exactly where they're going to attack from. Most of the numbers now are stacking up around rear stage and big tower. Psycho is still off out towards one side. Maybe can apply a little bit of pressure from dining into kitchen. But it looks like at least the majority of the push, the diffuser in the hands of Cons is just outside rear stage, and they're going to try to move in there. But it's not going to be easy because SSG are shaped up and ready for this. They've got the wall open. They've got the long angles. Fultz is down, and I don't think the drone has picked him up. If he's been misdrawn, Fultz could be decisive in this round.
Psycho, I think he's being mindful. Someone could wrap up through small tower as well and jump out on him here. Or not maybe so much mindful, but there's an option for the player that's been lurking out there. I believe it's the Castle of J9O that's been playing around towards small tower, but Psycho, he's long moved on at that point, rejoined up his team, so that window has passed. J9O really making sure the west side of the map is locked down. Everyone else, though, is so heavily focused on meeting at this point. And Constant stepped round. I thought he got it down then for a second, but not really to be the case.
Fultz has been taken down underneath. That could be big for NIP. They've managed to get that lurker out of the way who could have really done them some damage, but they did lose Cons along the way, and it puts the diffuser down in no man's land. 35 seconds left to go. They're going to have to recover that case, and they're going to have to play on in. Psycho knows there's one behind, but he loses the fight. Ashen steps out from the podium and absolutely absolutely slays Psycho, but Wizard, he's there to find one of his own. And that leaves us now 3 versus 3, 20 seconds left to go, and NIP are going to have to start rushing. That's exactly what they're doing. Wizard surely gets the kill onto stage. He will. That's 3 in the round. J9O could have something to say about it. He's going to have to.
No way.
It's 1 versus 3. It's 1 versus 1 after a quick double. And with the time ticking down, there's absolutely no choice. Pino, he has to stick this. J9O can't get the angle. Can he see him as he comes off that diffuser? Pino uses his experience. He keeps himself down, but he moves his legs out. J9O spots as much as he needs to. And Des, we're going to overtime.
They've absolutely smash and grab this one back from the brink of defeat. I'm going to say defeat, I don't mean out the series, but the map would have gone down, we'd be going to Clubhouse. Here, they've got a golden chance to close things out in 2 maps. What a play from J9O, and I'll give it to all the... That's a dangerous set of letters to put that close to each other. Fresh exceptional.
Fresh-ceptional.
Fresh-ceptional. So I was going for the full exceptional and kept it in there. Fresh exceptional. Yeah, okay.
That's not what you said. Right, let's get back into this. It's 6-6, it's overtime, it's round 13.
Trying to come up with words is always a bad idea, because I'll say it and just completely get tongue twisted the first time round.
Oh dear, oh dear. Right, round 13, here we go. SSG start on defense. They are indeed going to go down to laundry and basement. The big question for me at the minute is, do they turtle up as they have done previously, or do they get out in the map? They cannot rely on a double cap can kill at the end of the round again. Let's remember, that's what won it for them last time. It wasn't looking great, but then NIP went in and just walked through those explosives. So SSG can't rely on that. I'd like to see them just maybe play into, you know, NIP's age-old problem of time. Force them to full clear the map. Force them to take all that time. Get the traps out there. Just make things difficult for them.
And Muzi is on the march, straight in through showers with the drone at his feet from Cons, just getting themselves established out here on the west side of the ground floor. You can see pretty much every player on the side of SSG is dug into the basement, except for J9O, who's doing what every lovely player likes to do. Poke your head up around this tier 2 area of Big Tower, take out a drone, drop back towards site. It's one of the freest drones you will get in your life, because you're always going to have a drone coming in first, looking to figure out if it's safe to enter the building, which means you're guaranteed a freebie onto a drone, and then you can get back towards site. What I do like so far though, Tim, already half the drones have been taken down, in fact 6 of them, and there's no Solus on side. It's just through sheer catching ability of the side of SSG. Make that 7, ouch.
J9O going to be forced away at some point, but doing a good job there, really. Spending a minute and a half up there at the top of rear stage stairs and just preventing that access. Wizard does manage to just run straight in now. We will get the hatch open. Won't be too much of a problem. There's no denial on the other side. So SSG currently shaping up, 5 on site. They're all playing very, very close to each other. I'm just a little bit concerned about their ability to hold on for this long.
Well, NIP's last execute onto this site was excellent, like really good flooding. Admittedly, a lot of it was on the back of Pino, and they also had Psycho playing on the Blitz that time round, where he charged in, through down to elbow, down and towards the Aruni, who was sat in round rotate. It was just an excellent execute. This time around, it's a little bit different. Still got the same flavour with things like the Ying on side, but there are going to have to be a couple of changes here, and really it's that Capitao and those firebolts that can help.
J9O holding on to pillar for the time being. He's going to dip back into highway, but the wall will be open above. He actually moves back up, and as the utility gets sent in by Psycho, NIP are not actually going to follow that in for the time being. The drop is going to come instead through meeting, but Boris just times that nitro perfectly. Muzi trying to work him from bunker, but it's all going SSG's way. NIP are on the back foot. It's 2 versus 5. Psycho, he's going to drop down. Damage done to Muzi here, and NIP, they're struggling to hold on. 20 seconds left to go. Final kills come in, and what a start to overtime for SSG. They're going to hit NIP for a flawless round.
T-1 round, Tim, before liftoff. They are that close to turning this map around. It looked like it was going to be a surefire NIP win, but SSG have really clawed things back. They've got that overtime advantage because they start on the defense, and they're looking now potentially to 2-0 this game. NIP in with their tack time out here. This is the last chance saloon, Tim. Oh, they're going home.
I tell you what, these are going to have to be some words of wisdom here to turn this around. You've just got a feeling that it's sort of like on Border, it's just come later on. You got that feeling on Border like it had just sort of got out of control for them, you know? NIP were unable to hold on. SSG were just winning every gunfight. They were just really on top of things. But I'm getting that feeling again here. And honestly, I wouldn't put it past SSG to come out and win this on the attack now.
Nope, I think they could. I mean, both teams have had some price on the attacking side. It's just been a case of when you've seen that really shine. And I think as we've seen and spoke about for NIP, seeing the Blitz coming out has been a wonderful example. If we're attacking on the downstairs, I would love to see SSG bring out stuff like the Grim, like the Ying again. Maybe even see that Blitz in there if they're feeling particularly fruity coming into the attack. And we'll see what it comes down to when it gets into that. I imagine we are on the downstairs. Yes, we are. Seems to be the go-to site. So they know that this is really the fortress of this map. This is the site where teams love to default to, and sure enough, Tim, at least with how things stand so far, you've got the Ying, you've got the Grim, and you've got the Blitz. We are in for an explosive finish here.
Just remembering as well, let's not forget back on the first map on Border, NIP took a timeout when they were 6-5 down, when they were facing map point, and they lost the next round. It wasn't enough for them to save the game. So we'll see whether this one has any more effect. They are going to be defending downstairs. We saw, as you say, Psycho, you already talked about the push we saw from NIP back at the beginning of their attacks, where Psycho was on the blitz, went in, cleared elbow really, really well. Really nice round from them. You know, this time SSG are building on that with the Ying as well. This is not going to be easy for NIP to hold on to.
It is not, but it does normally start with the hatch being opened up first inside of meeting. We'll see if that starts out. Wiz has got the right idea. He's looking for a drone, exactly the same way that we saw J9O doing in the last round. But SSG have managed to preserve the drone. They've got the stiff of him. They know that he's holding onto the doorway and he has to back away very soon. Otherwise, they'll be swinging onto him cold and just going in for the kill. Hot and Cold working his way across from inside a small tower too. No doubt heading in towards one of these hatches, I expect, to help his team get that opened up. But note here, he hasn't got the hard breach gadgets in back pocket. This time round, it's those smokes. And they've got 4 of them to play behind. They've got the Candelas, they've got the bees. There's so much that they can just drop into the site here and cause absolute havoc amongst the NIP ranks.
Yeah, they're just getting themselves set up at the minute, drawn in, making sure that the map is clear, looking to get a hold of mid-floor, I think, so they can get those hatches open. They will, at some point, look to get rear stage locked down. J9O is currently in the process of that as Fultz and Hot and Cold work across through kitchen and security. Ashen is in main lobby as well, so again, dealing with hatches. It's all about prep, and basically this whole round is going to come down to stage 3. It's going to be, you know, stage 1 and 2 is map control and getting yourself prepped for execute onto site. That is all going to be free for SSG pretty much. Once they've got everything cleared out, it's going to be about that 3-2-1 go.
I think Forrest is trying to draw out that utility there. He's done the right idea. Look, everyone on NIP is back. It's panic stations. The assault is coming. They're getting ready for it, as you said, Tim. They've still got half the round to play with, so it's not really like SSG are forced into a bit of a panic here either. But we've seen this a lot on this map and on this site in particular. Very, very defensive setups, and Forrest, again, he just keep on poking his head forwards, draining away Wizard's utility, so when the push does come on through, he's in a great spot to make it happen.
Yeah, the Vulcan canister will be taken out there, so that's just going to hold them at bay for a few seconds. Bees are going to do their job, ping out one of the players, few pot shots go across. Forrest is ready to go, he's just waiting for the call here. Smoke canister goes in, isn't really going to do him any favours. The Candelas go, and it's now or never for SSG. They're going to have to start pushing. Forrest manages to clear Muzi out of elbow and continues on into side. Gets himself a second, surely this is it. As Fultz gets another along the way. SSG, they are heading for the live stages, and there it is. A flawless round back to back in overtime sends SSG into the late stages of the Atlanta Major as they qualify for phase 3.
Really look like NIP might get in the way of their launch, but the sky's cleared. And as you say, they still proceed themselves forward. For NIP, it's home time, I'm afraid. And I'm afraid there's no space shuttle to take you home this time around. Ashen has been one loud little bugger that whole game, but you can